know it's cars keys. Let's get it started up. Give me the car keys. Lakeshore Drive. Blog boys drive away with our takes like car thieves. Break down, we study tape and thrive.
Analytical preparation, that's what cause is given. Cars don't discriminate, teaching the men and women. Each and every week, there's nerd to get your focus. Never manipulating stats, law, cars and hocus pocus. Cars keys, they're never lost. Checking source, never gonna find a better scouting report. Cars going live with the smartest man, my bestie. Deciphering holes on the defense like Getsy. New show, uniforms, orange with the dark sea. Tape never lies, patrons, this is Cars
You know
Keys.
it's cars keys. Let's get it started up. Give me the car keys. Lakeshore Drive. Blog boys drive away with our takes like car thieves. Break down, we study tape and thrive. We gotta break down tape like detectives. No hot takes, just real football perspectives. The Bears nerd dropping science on his terms. TTNL giving Bears press like a perm. Other networks is off with the heads. Stats plus film equals football thread. Analysis like data Ted tries to shred. McCaskey's letting me cake, we keep the 100 crew fed. Cars keys, let's get it started up. Give me the car keys. Lakeshore Drive. Blog boys drive away with our takes like car thieves. Break down, we study tape and thrive. Lord Hines in his car, fill up a goblin. Lord Hines in his car, fill up a goblin.
Look at us, we're back. It's Cars Keys, episode 60, season number 4 already of everybody's favorite show, Mr. Cars Keys. Let me go see if my guy is out of the makeup room, see if he's ready to go, so we can talk a little football. Look at, he's still in the office. He's not at his own house drinking his own coffee because
I feel safe
somebody's
here.
trying to poison him.
I feel safe here, Shane. That's what's really important.
Little inside joke to kick the show off, Cars. What are we gonna do? Look at StreamYard getting all fancy for us. We got trick or treats.
Ooh.
We got a dancing skeleton. We got a candy pumpkin.
Well,
Look at
keep
all
the
this
candy
stuff.
pumpkin back up for a second. It looks like I'm doing blow out of the pumpkin head at this moment, right? Like
Can you suck out of that straw? You try?
No, I'm not going to even try for the screen grab. So
I was gonna say if we could make that happen, but
if you could just
guess
hold
not.
that for about 30 to 40 seconds, as all of a sudden you just see your camera getting close to grab that screen.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
I would never ever do that, Cars. You know me.
Yeah, what's our favorite drop again? I think it's
I love balls.
yeah,
There
we
it is.
would
Tell
never
'em.
do that. Yeah.
Oh, here we are. The team that we just played, the Baltimore Ravens, are currently beating the Miami Dolphins, but
After the
the
Dolphins
Chicago
fumble.
Bears have moved to 4-3 on the season, Cars, and the drama, the angst, the over analyzation, it never ends with this team ever.
And it's interesting because it sort of feels like because we've been burned so many times, everybody's in a rush to be like, I saw it first. I knew it was going to work first. Nobody said it before me. And then you go back to the coaches and
Yeah.
they don't care. They're like, he's playing well. Now, it doesn't mean that he's not missing things and there are things that are happening and you want to see growth. But I think I just keep going back to at this point in Mitch's time, in Justin's time, and basically everything, we started to do more, RPO situations. We started to talk about, well, we need to take away half the field and have them roll out more. And we're not doing those things, which tend to be hallmark signs of just uncertainty that the coaching staff has with the quarterback, and we're nowhere close to that. They're still like, nope, we're going to give it to him everything, and he's just going to figure it out. So,
right. I mean, Ben himself said, we're gonna, we're shooting the information at him, through a fire hose to see, how much he can take. That's the way that they started off training camp, started off this process. And it's just I think the biggest separation that I have found with people is what they always revert back to is I was never one of those guys. I know Phil's used it numerous times when we got into the process of, generational talent and best he's ever scouted. And I think that has been the thing that people want to grasp onto because they assume generational talent means ready made, doesn't have to put any work. There's not going to be any bumps in the road. You literally come out of the womb and you're, 2022 Patrick Mahomes. And it's not that way. That's not the way that the NFL works. That's not the way that the NFL will ever work. There's going to be bumps along the road. But for whatever reason, Caleb Williams continues to get just surrounded by negativity for a lot of things that people don't like about him that have nothing to do with football. And I don't know how you change that other than just going out there and becoming a consistent winner. And that's going to take more than just Caleb right now.
Well, and I think, we've hit on it and the staff has hit on it quite a bit of like, this isn't to shift blame, but I think the staff has said there are times that players have cut routes off when they shouldn't. There's times that the protection has let down that that it shouldn't have, or
Yeah.
other things along those lines. And look, I was unhappy overall with the play last week. I was unhappy with the overall design of the offense last week when,
Mhm.
for whatever reason, we went away from the run game that had been working so well and was working early in the game against Baltimore, and we completely abandoned it. And so there are all of these different things. And when you say that, I think as Bears fans, we have been so snake bitten, it's a problem. And I think we heard if you circle back to Josh Allen's second year, Buffalo had gone through so many quarterbacks. It was sort of that
Oh, yeah.
same conversation. It was the same in Baltimore, who really hadn't seen, since Flacco and like Flacco had that year and he got overpaid. He was never kind of worth what he got paid. But they're like, this is just going to be another failed running quarterback. Remember Lamar Jackson would scout out better as a running back than he would as a quarterback by
Yeah.
who was that, Mr. Lombardi, I believe, or someone along those lines.
I was just talking to Cap literally minutes before we went live here because Riley and I will be in attendance at the game tomorrow night where Mr. Lombardi will be. Syracuse versus North Carolina, and we will make sure to get our point across if we happen to run into old Michael himself. I'm not a fan.
No, and we shouldn't be. And so you kind of look at it like the reporters do it because we are fish in a barrel, and because of our long history of what happened, and the story you love to tell about uh, the Bears and Jay Cutler, right? And Nolan walks in the office and says, "Man, our offensive line sucks. It's going to get him killed." And like, don't worry, we got it. Frank Omiel. Here we go. Right. And
Yeah.
so it just makes it easy pickings. But I think in the end, um, this again, what Ben has told us, and what Declan Doyle has sort of reiterated is this is not linear growth. This will never be linear growth. This is going to be up and down, and you have to just kind of weather it. And what really matters at the end of the game or at the end of the season is where he finishes. And I'm not talking about statistically or any of those things, but is that trajectory still pointing up? And
Right.
if you listen to the staff, they're saying yes, and they have zero concerns about it. And I think for the most part, it's understandable why we do, but I don't have them because I didn't have a playoff expectation of a season. I mean, them at 4-3 is already kind of better than what I expected this early part of the schedule. And so to get to 7-10 8-9, 9-8 is sort of a victory with all the changing pieces that have happened.
Yeah, and there's a couple here. I've seen this pop up a couple of times. Can you explain what generational talent means in terms of, Caleb would be? And it's pretty easy. I mean, it's his arm talent is rare, and a lot of people, for whatever reason, want to say that Caleb doesn't have a. There's people out there that don't think that he has a strong arm. He's got he's got top 3 arm talent in the NFL, but I think the generational thing came out because of his escapability and his ability with different launch angles and launch points while he was on the run, because there's plays that he makes
That
while on the run, like down the sideline. There's very, very few quarterbacks in the NFL that can do that. I mean, you have guys that are out there breaking down tape and that have been in the league for a long, long time. Kurt Warner, Chase Daniel. I am JT O'Sullivan, and I'm always, who's the other guy?
Jenkins.
Tim Jenkins, where they talk about it, and that's just, an elite level throw. And it's those things, but who the generational label, it just, who cares? It no good is going to come from it in terms of being a fan or whatever. But I think that I think those would be considered the attributes that people consider generational, because it's rare. There's a lot of them, and unfortunately, he's had a lot of those plays on the sideline and the different, arm angles. And the other guy that was drafted in the top 10, Roma Dunze,
Dropped him.
drops them. And Cole
Or
Kmet
Cole
had
Kmet
one.
has dropped
Yeah,
him. Yeah.
yeah.
No, I think I think that's very true. And I think what the accuracy issues that we see tend to be the vast majority, like 9 out of 10, tend to be all mechanical, right? Like when
Yeah.
he gets happy feet, he throws off of his back foot a lot. When he can step into it, I don't really have a problem with the accuracy in those moments, but when he gets happy feet, he throws a lot where he's sort of fallen away. It's like he's turning a double play as a second baseman, and he's planting his foot on the outside of the bag and pushing off to generate that throw. That's the biggest issue that I see as far as his accuracy. When it's there, I don't. And sure, like you want his footwork calming. I think last year did a lot of trouble, his first year in getting pressure and getting sacked. And it's sort of moved to the opposite, but I just don't get the sense that he's truly trusting everything that's happening up front yet. Like there's got to be a longer overall playing in that where he feels very consistent. Um, and I just feel like, this week, especially if Trey Hendrickson doesn't play, like, this is a week where we need to see those feet calm. That's more the measure of what I'm looking for more than anything else.
Yeah, and listen, where was the other one? Somebody had in there, they feel like Caleb is playing favorites. Well, yeah, that happens in the NFL.
But
You
there's also a
yeah,
reason for it.
yeah.
How many times has DJ been called out by
Mhm.
multiple people for breaking routes off early? What we have to understand is that move from whatever you wanna call that trash offense last year to what Ben Johnson runs. Ben runs much more of a timing situation, a timing offense, which means guys need to be there on time. And when you break off that route for whatever reason, if your quarterback is expecting you
Yep.
there and you are not there, that looks like a bad play. And you've kind of heard some instances, of the coaching staff even saying like people have broken off that route. They have that drop. I think you've talked about Rome's drop percentage has gone from he's like third best in contested
Contested catch percentage. Yeah, he's at
70
78. Last year he was
78,
3.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's those sorts of things all matter but all of these things are just happening within an offense. To DJ Moore's defense, how many times did he have to break routes off early because pressure was there,
Yeah.
right? So he's ready to get into a scramble drill. All of these things add up and they're not going to get fixed over 8 weeks. I think, like I saw a crazy take out there that, Kyle Monangai is a trash running back, and that's why we're
Yeah, I
run.
I I starred that one. That was the James. I think he's a new guy. Yeah, I don't understand the Monon guy or Manun guy disdain for a seventh round. I'm happy with what he's shown to this point in his
He's
limited.
he's been really solid, and he's shown a different run. So it's like
I
it's
think
just
he's rated around 4.5 a carry.
yeah, he is.
Yeah.
I mean, and he's got several big 10, 20-yard runs. It's one of those things where it's, you know, of his 42 carries, 10 of them have gone for first downs. It's things that are improving. I just kind of look at this as like this is a growing year, and I think every year you go into the season expecting playoffs. I don't think it's wrong to have that expectation. It may not be real, and I think that's where we have to go. I think like this season, if we want to draw the parallel, it's to Detroit that second year with Campbell, and you want to see them just be a difficult out. They got to 9-8 in that season. They were a couple choked games away from basically being able to make the playoffs. I think the Bears are very similarly in that same situation. Um, but we also need the draft picks. We also need to continue to add talent on the roster. So I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing that we don't make the playoffs this year. The goal is not to make a dent this year. It's to make the dent next year and start making deep playoff runs for the considerable future.
Yeah, you're 100% correct there, and that's what I said. Going into this year, I wasn't a playoff guy in mind. I was always you wanted to see the trajectory of the offense
Yes.
aimed
Yeah.
in the right direction, and are they there yet? Obviously, they're not there yet. But listen, it could be a whole lot worse, and I know. In the keeping it 100 comments, somebody is like, well, Caleb just needs to start winning football games. He's not winning games. Well, you're 4-3 right now. So yeah, they've won football games. And Cars, you know how it is. We've been around this a long time, and it's a lot
Yeah,
of
of
people
course.
that aren't they just look at it, if you're not putting up 4 touchdowns and 350 yards or 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, then you suck. You're not a good quarterback. And there's no in between, and none of it works that way.
Hey,
I am way more concerned about Ryan Poles identifying talent and acquiring talent than I am of Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams getting the offense straightened out.
and two things to add to that, right? Of the 2 wins, we have 2 fourth quarter comebacks with 2 game-winning drives out of Caleb, but he won't get credit for that. But I think, Shane, to use your words there, the example for that is 100% the team that we're playing this Sunday. No team has drafted as horrible as the Cincinnati Bengals
Yep.
have for our entire life. And while they should absolutely get credit for Burrow, for Chase, and for T. Higgins, and to maybe you can argue Chase Brown a little bit. And there's DJ Turner they should get some credit for, and their one safety. The rest of that team is straight trash.
Yep.
Like, their offensive line may not be giving up a ton of sacks, but I'll have some numbers up here, and I only have a little bit to talk about with Cincinnati. But, like, so you look at Cincinnati, who, because of the quarterback play, because of the quarterback to both wide receiver tie-ins, should be in the playoff consideration every year. And if you just built a line in front of him, a line on both sides of the ball, it'd be a different story. But Miles Murphy isn't doing a whole hell of a lot for Cincinnati. Shamar Stewart,
Yeah.
with his whole health, has yet to even get a hit on a quarterback this season, let alone a sack. You have all of these draft picks. So to your point, if we draft like the Bengals do, if Ryan Poles misses as much as the Cincinnati has, and you're going to be in the same situation.
Yep. No, you're right. And listen, we've I think it was Chase Daniel talking. He pointed out a play, and I go back to the one, I believe it was the first 3rd and 7 that the Bears had down in the red zone, where Caleb's throwing to a spot, and Rome just stops. He stops, and you see it so often with Rome and with DJ. It's happened multiple times, and I said, at some point, they're going to have to get over that hump. And listen, there's the interception on Caleb it wasn't a good pass.
Nope.
And plus you had Manon guy right there. Yeah, I completely understand that. But everybody that's flipping out about the interception were also the people that said, we need to see Caleb turn the ball over more because it shows that he's taking chances. They're not going to handle that, Cars. You know that as well as I do. The people, if he starts throwing more picks, that's going to make the intensity of the negativity even more. And go ahead.
And it's crazy because you're absolutely right. And I think you hit the nail on the head. If he's not throwing for 270 and 2 to 3 touchdowns every week, it's not going to be good enough. And that's going to continue on and continue on and continue on. And you don't see it like just click instantly. Burrow in Cincinnati was different just because he had played with Chase before. They had known each other. They knew what to expect. That was slightly different. That's why in his second year, they went straight to the Super Bowl on one of the craziest, most unprecedented runs. But we don't have that. Like, we have year 2 and a different scheme with players who are just not comfortable doing in a timing offense. And I think we just keep seeing that. And, I keep hearing like DJ Moore is a trade candidate because of the way that he's not used and all of this.
Right.
DJ is part of his own worst enemy right now as well. And this is not to completely absolve Caleb of all blame, but there are so many dysfunctions, and it goes back to penalties as well, that you just see these things that pop up over and over again. And what's funny about it, Shane, is aside from last week, we scored over 20 points each week. And I understand that turnovers play a part in that. And I understand that there's more to it, but we don't see streaks of 20-point games
on Chicago
like this, with 300 plus yards of offense. And what is it? The 8th best offense on 3rd down in the NFL. We don't see these things that frequently, but we're so negative, that we're like, oh, okay, this is done. He's peaked. He's had his Mitch Trubisky at Tampa Bay game, and this is all going downhill.
Yeah, and I think it's easy to forget in all of this that Ben Johnson is a rookie head coach. I mean, he's been around for so long as an OC and as a top flight OC and play caller within the league. I think it's easy for people to forget that he's a rookie head coach coming into this for the first time. And let's just be honest, it's completely different. You're not focused on just one thing. I mean, you're getting things thrown at your desk every single day, and sometimes 75% of them, Cars, don't have anything to do with on field. And that's the sad part. So of course there's going to be hiccups with Ben. We've seen that. There's been some play calls where I'm like, come on, man. That's just sometimes it's just as simple to go out there, put a hat on a hat and go play some ball. You don't have to get as crazy as some of the things that we've seen, but I have confidence in Caleb Williams and I have confidence in Ben Johnson. I said where my concern is, and I maintain it because who have we added on the defensive line, Cars, since July to this team on the defensive line? And that's Garvin, who we just signed to the practice squad. And before that, it was another guy named Jeremy Robinson that we added in May. And it's just they're doing I don't give a shit who it is. I would debate
Yeah.
anybody on this. They have to keep on turning over the bottom end of this roster because there's nobody there that's good enough. It's just the way that it is, and they're not doing it at all.
And it does speak to the Ozzy miss because, you've seen
Mhm.
Benedict come back to earth quite a bit since that first game, and
Mhm.
you've seen some of those problems. But you're right. I mean, we are where we are because we never truly addressed left tackle
Yep.
because we didn't address the defensive line. And that's that. And to go back to yeah, it's his first year as a head coach. I understand he's been a play caller, but other than Antoine Randall L and JT Barrett, right? This is the first time that he's ever worked with the running back coach. It's the
Yep.
first time he's ever worked with the tight ends coach. It's the first time he's worked with the offensive coordinator. And it's the first time that he's worked with Rushar on the offensive line.
Yeah.
So all of these things take a little bit of time to figure out. None of these guys were on staff, so they really have to sit down and figure out where everybody's good and what their strengths are. And I'm not I'm mad about the defense. I don't think about the defense at all because I think to your point, when you look at it, outside of Gordon and a few other players, like there aren't a lot of players are going to be here for when we start winning
Oh,
more.
right.
The way that I'll
Exactly.
put it.
There's gonna be more turnover than I think people believe for 2026 on this team. Because there's gonna be some guys that are making money that they're simply just gonna bite the bullet on and move on from if they have to, if something else comes along. Because I think 2026 offseason is when you see Ben Johnson swinging his bat. He's got the juice, he's got the power, and I think that's where you see. I think that's where you're going to see the changes. I mean, are they going to move on from Montez Sweat? I don't think so because there's just it's a
It creates
cavernous
a
hole there
bigger
now,
hole.
right?
But, and I don't mean to pick on you, but that's not true. This is not true at all either. Like, you have to understand that where we are in building this, it's about figuring out parts and pieces. It's trying to figure out, you know, I keep hearing again, do I think there's a chance that DJ Moore gets traded? Absolutely, I
Yeah.
do. Do
Yep.
I think it's gonna be this season? No. But what they're going to do is I think they're gonna figure out whether or not he can be a player long term that works for us or not. And that's what so much of this season is on offense, is figuring out which of these players can be here long term
Yep.
with that player,
Yeah.
with our quarterback.
And put Cole Kmet in there.
Cole Kmet, I mean, you can't ask for a worse season for what he's done
Yeah.
so far.
But Cars, when you talk about and listen, I like DJ,
Yeah.
but I think he loves playing the role of like the aloof guy that nothing bothers him. But I question a lot of the stuff that DJ does. Listen, he'll go out there and he'll make a play and you're like, "Holy shit." I get it, but then you're like, "Where's your where is your football acumen really at on some of the plays?"
Yeah.
You're just like, "Come on, man." It just and for what he's getting paid, and again, this is just so Chicago. You're extending him. You
Because you
gave
don't
him
have talent, right?
Yeah, you gave him the money, but it's just like it goes back to Ryan Poles. Why?
It's
Why?
it's the biggest concern moving forward, and there's no way to sit down and minimize it. His drafts, while have been better than Cincinnati's, they're not enough to have warranted the extension.
Right.
And the biggest limiter to this team and this coach and this player base is gonna be what he does moving forward. And as of now, there is nothing to give you the faith that that will happen. Because I think, some of the reports are out that he wants too many yes men and all of those things. And while I can't confirm or deny any of those things, you pointed out, like, you went into day 3 knowing you were gonna trade up to draft a punter last year. Like, what are we doing
Oh yeah,
here?
they traded up to draft Booker, but they knew they were going to take the punter if he was there in the 4th round. Yeah, and Torrey
Hold on,
Taylor.
hold
It
on,
just
hold on, hold on. Okay, this look,
yeah, that's crazy.
this is insane. Don't. Especially since you put in Burden twice. I understand that you wanna say that, but I think if you look at where rookie wideouts are as far as yards and catches and things, Burden is decently up there. He's so, like, Trapillo is the one that I will sit down and argue on, but you can't look at overall numbers. Who else does Indy have on that team other than Tyler Warren to throw that football to?
Well, and
Right? Like, so yeah, he's gonna get a ton of catches because he's target number 1. Loveland at best right now is target number 3. So yeah, he's not gonna have the numbers of Tyler Warren. Absolutely. So, but we're gonna call that, like, you can't just look at the stats, you have to look at how it's used. Loveland, they're asking to do a little bit different things. He's technically our second tight end. Burden is our wide receiver number 4, and it's not anything to do then other than they're just gonna make them earn this. And we've seen it. We've seen it. So, like, this is to sit down and say, like, it's a fail so far is just way too negative Bear fan, and I get why you're there, but, like, if you're gonna say these guys are failed right now, that's insane.
yeah, and they're rookies and not everybody is on the same arc, and I get all that, but Cars, let's just get off of that part. And we talked about this a little bit last night. The Bears go out and you see the secondary is depleted in a big way. You're starting to get some guys back now in terms of with Tyreek practicing and stuff like that. But they go out and sign Chauncey Gardner Johnson, a guy that I think everybody would be in agreement over the years was that player that you just hated.
It's Dennis Rodman.
Yeah, because he's not on your team. But there was a lot. The Bears worked him out about a month ago
Yeah.
and didn't sign him. And everybody's talking about locker room presence and all of that. The Bears signed him because they're desperate. That's why they overlooked what he's done in the locker rooms in Houston, in Philadelphia 2 separate times, in Detroit, in New Orleans, because they just don't have any bodies left.
Yeah, the one position we were deepest in is the one position
Yeah.
we've had the most amount of injuries in, which I think is fascinating, and I think it does reek of desperation because Shane, how many times have you and I been sitting here like they need to make other than just turning over the bottom of the roster? There is change that needs to happen on this roster.
Yeah.
There's change at many different positions, whether it's whether it's running back, whether it's tackle, whether it's anything else, and he's done nothing. He has done as minimal as he can to any of those positions. And so we keep sitting here going, make him, like uh that's the meme of something like poking a dog with a stick. Like, come on,
Yeah.
do something. That's what we're sitting here with Ryan Poles.
Yeah.
But we're gonna sit here. Look across the way. Cincinnati's season looked done. Absolutely done. They go and trade for Joe Flacco inside the division, and now all of a sudden look like a better football team. And now we'll probably not trade Trey Hendrickson because they think they've still got a shot at this. So what are we like? If Cincinnati can make that change and do something, if all these other teams can look at this and be like, this is not good enough, when every other GM says this is not good enough, this is not going to work, we need to make a change. Ryan Poles will just basically say, well, I think it's good enough.
Yeah, I think that he is a big believer in he I think he's a big believer in standing pat and getting better from within. Oh, this guy's going to get healthy. We're going to get this guy back, and it's just it's flawed process because the guy that you're waiting on getting back. And listen, I understand we talked about this two cars, and I understand Jalen Johnson is a good corner. He is not an elite level top 5 cornerback.
Just like we overpaid him to be a top line, we overpaid Montez Sweat,
Yep.
we overpaid Cole Kmet, we overpaid a lot of players because they were better than everything else that we've had.
Right, right, and that's Montez Sweat is the perfect example of that because he's never been an elite pass rusher. He's had the traits to be that, but he's just never been that. I don't know if you've ever been up close to Montez Sweat. I have, and it's fucking insane
He's
how
like
this dude is put together.
Alonzo
It's
Spellman.
yeah,
That's the
it's
only other player
crazy.
that comes to mind with this, like, ridiculous, like, you'd see people carve statues of him in olden
Yeah.
times the way that he is built. Absolutely.
It's absolutely crazy to stand next to a guy like I got to shake his hand and Riley got to shake his hand. It just his hand, it envelops your whole goddamn forearm. That's how it's crazy. He's not an elite level pass rusher. He's got elite traits to be that. He's just never been that. I mean, Cars, I believe as a Bear, I don't know if you can look up his pass rush win rate or
It's not
whatever.
good.
It's like 8.5% as a Bear,
Yeah.
and he got paid 94 million. That's the one thing. Listen, the Bears had the Bears needed to get somebody in here, but where Mike Lombardi was actually right in a roundabout way was that Montez Sweat, as soon as that trade went down, had him over the fucking barrel. He could have held out for more money if he wanted to. He got the
Oh,
money that he was comfortable at, and the Bears were gonna have to pay it.
but why do you do that?
Yeah, because you're
Because your
desperate.
general
Yeah.
manager has refused to draft the position. I think when you look at sort of what he's done uh, in the draft, it has been a significant amount of corners. What was his first year? The Kyler year, right?
Yeah, Kyler and
So
Jaquan,
you had
first 2
Kyler,
picks ever.
Jaquan, Valus,
Bayless. Jesus
and then,
Christ.
we can ignore the bottom part of that with the 7th round draft. And then you look at the next year, it's Darnell, Dexter, and then, Zach Pickens, Tyreek Stevenson, Roshan Johnson, Tyler Scott, Noah Sewell, Terrell Smith. And then last year it's Caleb, Rome, Karan, Torrey. Like, we're missing on a significant amount of these picks, and all I'm seeing is in our lives, we've drafted in his life as a general manager, he has drafted 2 defensive ends in 4 drafts, and that is Austin Booker and Dominique Robinson, and neither of them were drafted inside the top 4 rounds.
Yeah, and Cars, listen, I mean, I think Eric's kind of alluding to this. They're ignoring them in the draft. That's he's Ryan Poles has drafted as been. You guys have heard me say this.
He's creating holes.
Right. And he's drafted as many defensive ends since he's been here as punters. And the highest out of all of those is Torrey Taylor. He's drafted 2 defensive ends, 2 of them, Austin Booker and Dominique Robinson. That's it. And then you wonder why the Bears have issues. This is why it has
6
nothing.
defensive backs in that time frame.
Right.
6.
Right. And this is why, if you go back to my reaction on draft night, why I was despondent. And it has nothing to do with the talent level of Colston Loveland. It's just, I hate to keep on repeating myself. This is where it all starts.
Oh, yeah.
You have to attack the trenches. You have to. You never have enough, ever.
And again, the look for that is the team that we play this week.
Yep.
That team has elite weapons, elite weapons and a front office that is so understaffed that they refuse to draft. Like they signed Orlando Brown.
Yeah.
What a failure that was. Their top 10 pick was the kid from Alabama a couple years ago,
Yep.
a tackle who never worked. If you want to see where this leads, where bad general managers go, you look across the way and you look at Cincinnati
Yep.
and you see it. You look at all these, like, I'm not the biggest Tua supporter, but look at Tua in that line. Look at the line that Daniel Jones had in New York. Look at Sam Darnold's line with the Jets. And then look at it last year with the Vikings and what happened in that jump. Look at how he's continuing to do that here in
Right.
Seattle. If you don't have the trenches, you don't win consistently. Why does Green Bay kick our ass consistently? Because they draft the trenches and they may miss a lot, but when they hit, they fucking hit.
Right. Right. And listen, it's you could have, you were in a position where you had, multiple second round picks multiple times. And again, when you look back on it, and I understand that their careers haven't been written yet. There's still a long ways to go. But does anybody have much faith in all that Karan Amagaji is going to work out in Chicago?
If you look at this, Karan is going to be gone. So you're going to have, Caleb Rome, Torrey, and Austin Booker. But let's just go back. Let's go back to his very first draft. Valus not getting an extension. Braxton Jones not getting an extension. Dominique Robinson, Zach Thomas, Tristan Edmer, Doug Kramer, Jatiri, Elijah Hicks, Trenton Gill. None of them are getting it. Let's look at the next year. The top 3 picks, you can understand Darnell, Javon, Tyreek. Zach Pickens has been terrible. Roshan, barely plays. Tyler Scott, nothing. Noah Sewell's fine. Terrell Smith, fine. Travis Bell, Kendall Williamson. Like, we're going to be going back to name a player drafted outside of the top 3 rounds that he's going to extend.
Yeah. And that's the thing, Cars. And like I said, and does this matter overall? But when you start the 2026 season, Torrey Taylor's going to be 29 years old. And that's going to be one of your guys he's going to end up probably getting an extension. That's, you know what I mean? And it's going to be your punter.
And it's insane. And it's like, look, he's all well and good, but for where you draft him, you need someone else to be higher than the 16th best in yardage and punts.
Listen, he had a couple. He had one that just didn't check up. It went just over the goal line. But overall, for what he was sold as, and not a punter, as a weapon, I listen,
it's not there.
No, it's not. I don't even see when was the last time you saw Torrey Taylor go back and punt the football? And I'm not talking about checking up now, but I'm like, holy shit. He flipped the whole fucking field there. You've been sold a bill of goods with a lot of these guys. And
the
it's a
irony,
fucking punter.
In our lives, the best punter was a guy that has sat at Washington ever since we cut him, and that's Tressway.
Yeah.
In our lives as Bears fans, that's been it. You're talking about the guy who's 16th in yardage and 21st in net yardage.
Crazy. And Eric, it's not going to change for me, because I said the same thing that you were saying in your last couple of comments here about it's set up for him to go all trenches. It was set up that way this past draft for him. And he didn't do it. And you can say whatever you want about Ben Johnson's influence. Guess what, Ben? It's a mistake on you then, if that was all you. You have to double and triple and quadruple down. That's why you go out and you gave Grady Jarrett all of this money, and the Bears needed to get a steadying presence in the locker room. He did not get paid for production on the field. He's an overplayed, descending player. Grady Jarrett is. You overpaid him for the captain patch and because he's been a leader within the locker room. And your locker room was borderline toxic. Number one reason why Jalen Carter is not a Bear. That is why.
Number one,
there.
number two, and number three reasons.
Yeah. And he wouldn't have, Jalen Carter would not be who Jalen Carter is in Philly. He would not have been that in Chicago. He wouldn't have been. He was surrounded by top flight veteran players in Philly. You had none of that here. He came here, he would have been the lead fucking dog, and that would have been the worst thing ever for Jalen Carter here in Chicago. And your leader, your head coach at the time, was Matt Eberflus. No, it wouldn't have worked out. Wholeheartedly believe that.
No, I mean, you don't. It's, I don't know how to like best put it, but it's like you don't get to go win because you have 2020 vision, into the past. You're not going to be okay if you do this now because it's too late. Like you're missing a year of growth on this team because of what you've done. And when he's the general manager, the hard part for us to understand is he's going to sit down and he's going to double on one of the two.
Yeah.
He's going to leave the other one completely open because that's what we've seen. Like that first draft, Shane, I like Jaquan Brisker. I think Kyler Gordon was absolutely the right pick. But
Totally
you can't
agree.
you cannot go back to back on those picks. You just can't. It's criminal with where we were, what you did.
Carson, the sad part about it is, and listen, I don't want to put this as a negative on Ben Johnson, but this is what's going to be the talk in the offseason is now we got to go get our Jahmyr Gibbs in the draft. And if you go out and draft a fucking running back with your first round pick in 2026, it is over. It's over. Cannot do it. You can't do it. And this isn't an indictment of Jeremiah Love or the other running back from Notre Dame who's equally as good. They're fantastic. That is a luxury. That's why I was never on board with the Bears going after Genty. It's a luxury pick, just like tight end was.
And you're seeing it. You're seeing exactly what would have happened there play out in Las Vegas right now, right? Like they had less of a business draft in that, and look what it's done. But you're right. Like you look at the Bears when they drafted Jaquan Brisker, you pass on Cam Jurgens, you pass on Luke Godecki. Ed Ingram was terrible. You had Pickens. Look at right after that. You had Pickens, Alec Pierce, Trey McBride, James Cook go right after that. And you had several other players that just kind of came in. What are we doing? Like at no point do you sit there and you go, we just did corner. Now we do a safety. And then we're okay. It hasn't made sense. It never has made sense. And the Shane, the more I think about it, the more upset I am that they didn't make the trade that the Chargers made for the Baltimore defender, who I'm not going to even attempt the last name right now.
Right, but that's the thing, and you're getting cheap. That for peanuts when you could be rolling the dice there. It's just like the I'm not a huge Keon White fan. The Bears 100% should have made that fucking trade.
They should
give yourself another body with upside to take a chance. It's a pick swap. So you're going from the 6th to the 7th and gaining a player with some upside. But Ryan Poles beyond the anybody could trade the number 1 pick. It's not hard. It's
But
not.
he just doesn't. But to your point, Shane, once the draft is done, so is our general manager.
Yeah.
That's the concern I have. There's no creativity here. There's no like, let's think outside of let's make a move. Let's go to change things up. This isn't working. Let's go do this. Once the draft is up, he goes right back into scouting mode and he forgets about this roster until the season ends.
I agree, man. And it's just, going back to running back, there is zero reason that you're not recycling some of these guys that are on practice squads, bringing them in, bring them along here for a couple of weeks, see what they have. And if they're not good enough, then you cut them and you move on to next. I keep on bringing up the name Braden Swinson, the pass rusher from LSU, that the Bears were widely involved in the draft. I honestly believe, I'll have to look up the draft. The Bears were on the clock. I was told they were going to take Swinson. The Patriots took him. The Bears ended up bouncing out. He's on New England's practice squad. Why not fucking claim him?
It costs you nothing to take a chance.
Right. But all we hear is, got to keep Travis Homer. He's a special teams stalwart. Got to keep Abagbamiga. He's a special teams stalwart.
We're
Gotta
keeping
keep
2
Roschon.
running backs
Right.
that
Gotta
are
keep
just for
Roschon,
special teams.
Guess what? Our special teams sucks. It sucks. It's the only thing that's worse is our pass rush. Take some fucking chances on guys that can play on offense or defense. He's doing none of it.
No.
Literally nothing.
And thank God he just got an extension.
Go look at our fucking practice squad. It's filled with 28, 29-year-olds. Our practice squad.
Oh, it's terrible.
It's embarrassing. We just got rid of a one guy, I'm not going to pronounce his name right, the old pass rusher from the Saints that we had. And he was 31. Makes no sense.
Dude, our practice squad is a 28-year-old wide receiver, a 29-year-old wide receiver, a 28-year-old running back, a 28-year-old tight end.
We have a tight end that's 29 that I've never fucking heard of on our roster.
Oh, Nikola Kalinick?
Yeah.
Who's 20, no idea.
I have no fucking clue who he is. And for me to say that, that's saying something. It's crazy.
This is insane. And but you're 100% right. Like it's too little too late for what this is going to be. And unfortunately, this is the world that we're going to have to live in because he's signed that extension. But my God, roster building has to be something more aggressive. Brad Holmes was way more aggressive in Detroit than our guy is here. And we are content to sit with mediocrity and see how this thing plays out. You've got opportunities to go help your team right now. You look at these teams and what they're doing and how they're trying to make moves to make them better. Again, props to Cincinnati for making a Flacco deal because it instantly made their football team better. The Chargers and the trade with Baltimore, it has made their defense better. Us, we're sitting with the same thing, hoping that all of a sudden it's going to click and everything's going to work.
Right. And it's just, it's not cars. And again, I know people get pissed when I bring up this team, but you look at Philly they wanted to add a wide receiver. They went out and made the trade for John Mechie. It didn't work out. And guess what? They just traded him. They traded him in a fucking pick swap deal because now they need a fucking corner. They're always doing these little fucking deals to try and unearth a guy. And I'm not saying that he just needs to make a trade to make a trade, but we've done not. He's not even fucking claiming guys on cut down day. We
I think,
brought in
yeah,
another linebacker, a fucking 4th-string linebacker in DeMarco Jackson, who I like DeMarco coming out. We interviewed him here on Draft Mob on TTNL. Great kid. I understand it. Connected to Dennis Allen in New Orleans. Fine. Jalen Jones. I said it on the day. Why are you not attacking need areas? Our number one needs, Cars, in the offseason were left tackle, pass rusher. And guess what our number one needs are right now? Left
how many
tackle,
moves? How many
pass
moves did
rusher,
we make?
and they've done nothing. But here you go. Sign here, Ryan.
If you think about it, your boy in Philly, I'm just gonna say that because I know how much it drives you crazy.
Yeah.
Drafted Jalen Reagor before he drafted Justin Jefferson.
Yep.
Jalen Reagor got less of a chance in Philadelphia than we gave to Velus Jones. And in the
True.
middle of that, by the way, they went and traded for A.J. Brown because they recognized that they had messed up. That's what you do.
And what else did they do? They fucking traded up for Devontae Smith in the
Yep.
top 10.
You get rewarded in the NFL for aggression. That is on offense, that is on defense, but it starts with your front office.
Yeah.
I don't understand like why. And look, I think Colson is going to be a really good tight end for the majority. I am a big believer in Luther Burden, and that is why you're going to move DJ Moore. I don't hate the players. I don't like necessarily where they're drafted. I don't like the focus because how the fuck are you going to go draft a tight end when you don't have a left tackle? How are you
Right.
going to go draft a tight end when you don't have a defensive end? Colston, love the player, love his attitude, doing great in blocking. You saw him. They made some more effort this last week. I get it, but you can't ignore all of those things and be okay.
No, you can't, man. And it just pisses me off to no end. That's the thing. I feel like special teamers get overrated in a big fucking way in this town.
You cannot keep 2 running backs and 2 linebackers to just be special teams players.
Yeah.
I'm
I
sorry.
agree.
You can't. You can't. And Shane, to kind of go back to your earlier point, let's take a look here of like the way that Philly has drafted in those same 4 years.
Yeah.
How many starters have they drafted versus how many starters have the Bears drafted? How many
Kick me in the balls. Go
performing-
ahead. Do it.
I mean, look at that. 22. Cam Jurgens. Where's he at right now? Jordan Davis. 23. Jalen Carter. Nolan Smith. Tyler Steen. Sidney Brown was starting. He had drafted Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean. You've drafted Jahad Campbell, who's doing things for them. Get that, and you're like, oh, and you've got a quarterback here. We're going to draft Kyle McCord because we think really highly
Exactly.
of him during that period of time. We're going to draft, Taylor Steen and Cam Jurgens. They've had players in those positions. They had a Hall of Fame center. In 3 years or 2 years before he retired,
Yep.
they drafted his replacement.
And Cars, did you know that Jason Kelsey was specifically tasked with being in the draft process, scouting nothing but centers?
Yeah.
Who do you like? He handpicked Cam Jurgens in Philly. Jason Kelsey did. That's the type of shit that you'll never see here. Do you remember the talk in Ryan Pohl's first draft? Yeah, we brought Justin in. Do you remember who he loved at wide receiver? Velus Jones. You can Google that. Bring it up.
I don't want that in my Google search history so that when I die, that's one more thing that you've got to delete out of my
We
Google
drafted a
search history.
fucking offensive tackle in round 2. Cars, for the first time, the Bears, we had 3 second. Do we have 3 or 4 second round picks?
3.
Yeah, 3. Burden's is he getting 20 snaps a game?
No.
Yeah, it's more like anywhere between 15 and 18. And listen, I'm still high on Luther Burden. Shamar Turner, injured in college, injured in Chicago. Ozzie Trapillo, you drafted a right tackle, and everybody here on this network told you that he was a right tackle, and you had just a couple of years before drafted a right tackle in the top 10.
And by the way, your in division opponent a few picks later drafts Tate Ratledge, who's
Yeah.
now starting and playing a very high level of guard
Yeah.
for you. And you look at those names, Shane, afterwards. You know, you've got a Mason Taylor that goes out. You have a couple of different pass rushers that have gone out. You have Ursary in Minnesota who's playing a decent tackle. You've got, some other kind of ends, and you look around the time of Ozzie Trapillo, the next pick is Tate. But you got Mike Green, who would have looked good as a pass rusher. You had RJ Harvey. You needed a running back. He would have looked really good. And then you have Shamar Turner. And then shortly after that, you've got a lot of other players. You could have passed on Colton Loveland and had a shot at Harold Fannin, who I think is going to be a fun player in the league.
And that's the thing. And it was the deepest tight end class probably in history.
Yep.
Don't forget my guy that I was banging the drum for, Rondé Gatson. How's he doing for the Chargers?
Oh, yeah.
But the Bears had to have the first one in the top 10. It's craziness.
And so you just keep going back and you're just like, what, my biggest complaint with him is always going to be he lets the draft fall to him too much, just like in everything.
And he got played big time this year, especially on day 3 this year.
I mean, he's been played in almost every draft. We know that he wanted Kelvin Banks. You're telling me you're not calling somebody like the Panthers to move up 2 picks? They knew you're not going to draft McMillan. You're not calling, like you look at what New England did. Will Campbell has solidified that line so very well. And granted, Drake is getting hit a ton, but you've now paired your franchise quarterback with a franchise left tackle for the rest of time. Gray Zabel would have been a better draft pick than anything else that we would have done at that point in time.
Yeah, I know. It's sad.
It's depressing.
It is. And listen, I'm not against Rome Odunze. I wouldn't have drafted Rome. I'm on record as saying that.
No,
I wouldn't have drafted him there. But it is what it is, man. It's
Fuaga should have been that pick.
Or you can't.
Or Olu.
Or what do they say? Don't pass up power rushers. And how would Jared Verse look here?
Oh, but that's a great example. What did the Rams do in that draft? Was Verse and then Fisk?
Yeah.
And what has that done for their defense?
Yeah.
And we're still here sitting talking about, I like Dexter. I like a lot of what he's doing, but you're not putting shit around him.
No. And it's, again, I don't give 2 shits. And somebody had said, well, if you hit it running back in the draft and it's big, you can hit it running back in any round. Any round. Cars just told you James Cook. What was that? Round 4?
2 late.
Oh, it was round 2 late? Okay, but point still stands.
You look at it. Your leading rushers for the season, Jonathan Taylor, second rounder. James Cook, second rounder. J.K. Dobbins, I believe, was a late rounder.
Yep.
Javonte Williams, Rico Dowdle. 6 is Brees Hall, a second. 7th, where he was drafted, Bijan. Devon Achane, Jahmyr Gibbs, Saquon Barkley. So what? You've got 3 first rounders, and none of them are ranked higher than 7th. It goes further than that. Derrick Henry, who's probably the best running back of the recent time, was a second round pick. McCaffrey was a first. Judkins, everything he's doing, he was a second. Kyron Williams, who's been great, he was a later round pick. Like,
that's my fear is these motherfuckers go out in 2026 and draft Jeremiah Love at number 13 overall. Ton of Bears fans are going to be happy because he's a Notre Dame kid. And great. And then we're going to get to the season. It's like, we can't fucking tackle anybody. We can't get after the fucking quarterback. We got a pretty new running back, though. Isn't that awesome?
If we don't have an offensive line and better players on defense, you are punting on next year as well. And I don't know another way to say that other than just saying, like, we are going to be stupid if we do so. And to your point, Shane, every mock draft that I look at has us drafting some sort of running back at this point, which is clearly too early. But if you're not doing an edge and a left tackle, I don't care which order it is.
Right.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And it's there's going to be people out there because, listen, I think it's the Madden / fantasy football world that we live in is, offensive weapons are the shiny new toys, or they're the present that you get excited about under the Christmas tree. It's like, oh, great, I got another offensive tackle. Fun. But that's got to be the lifeblood of your team.
Every Patriots team that won, you could talk about the players across their offensive line and defensive line, whether it was Matt Light or any of those folks on the offensive line, or Richard Seymour on the defensive line. And you looked at all those players, and it doesn't take away from Tom Brady's greatness, but part of the reason that Tom Brady could throw to no-name wide receivers and still be a threat is because that offensive line was so damn good. If you look at this Packers team, look, their wide receiver core is fine. But it's nothing that sits down and makes you terrified. But that offensive line creates enough time to make it look better than it is. If you have all the weapons, we've seen this throughout history in the NFL. When the Rams were really good, the greatest show on turf, they had an incredible offensive line with some nasty motherfuckers on it. Who is their left tackle? The guy who's always getting into fights, something.
Yeah, shit.
It'll come back.
Have it.
Yeah. But like, we've got Joe Thuney, and that's great that we have him. But we need like 2 more of him. And that's what we've got to go find. And do you have faith in this person to be the one to go find it? Orlando Pace was one, but there was another guy, and I'm just going to see if I could find it real quick. But it's another guy that you've got to figure out what you're going to do.
Yep.
And
Turley.
Turley. There it is.
Yep.
Kyle Turley. Yep. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Rob.
It was just disgusting. Like, just a brutal guy. You look at all those Cowboys teams. The reason that Emmitt Smith is one of the most overrated running backs in the history of time is because he was running behind Nate Newton and Eric Williams on the right-hand side. And by the way, their left guard was even better than that. Like,
right.
And we have none of it.
No.
None.
And I know everybody's excited about the Colts and all of that, but let's see how happy everybody is when you move forward with Daniel Jones on a brand spanking new $60 million per year contract. We'll see how that works out.
and they should get a ton of credit right now for being
Yeah.
7-1. But you have beaten the Miami Dolphins, the Denver Broncos, the Tennessee Titans twice, the Raiders, the Cardinals, and the Chargers.
Yeah.
And you lost to the one good team you faced in the Rams. The next couple of weeks, you go to Pittsburgh and Atlanta, but after that, you face Kansas City, Houston, Jacksonville, Seattle, San Francisco, Jacksonville, and Houston. It's going to be a different story the second half.
I think what he's talking about, Eric, is not surviving the extension. Is we understand that the Bears aren't eating it, and he will be here for another year or two. But I believe it's been reported that he's on the same years as Ben Johnson, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, it goes way beyond. Ben's not going anywhere anytime soon. But listen,
unless he asks to.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I mean, he got if Ben wasn't comfortable with Ryan Poles would have never got the extension. So to me, that's a red flag for Ben Johnson. And I wanted to believe in Ryan Poles early on. I really did, but it just over and over and over. Yeah, Eric, you're right. He's not going anywhere. We completely understand. We're not saying that he's getting fired. He's not going anywhere.
But he should have. The point we're making is he had never shown you enough to get an extension.
You didn't need to. Like I said, you know what? Maybe this is a bad analogy, and I used it once before, but it's like having a 4-year-old kid that loves to throw the baseball out in the yard, and your wife says, "Well, where are you going?" I'm going to Home Depot to buy a window just in case he breaks that in 4 years. You know what I mean? It's just you're planning ahead for something that you don't need to plan ahead for. It's dumb.
Except the way that Ryan Poles would do it is he'd go find a gutter downspout or something else that he really didn't need instead of the window.
Yeah, that window, at this person's yard sale looks like it might fit. We'll get that, and it's a little older. We'll put it on the practice squad, and when we need it, we'll bring it up.
It's just mind-boggling. And it's funny because we've had these issues. It's been the same week in, week out, and I'll show up. I'll throw up something because I know we're running late here, and I'll throw up immediate, a little bit. But
yeah,
this is a winnable game, and it doesn't feel winnable, right?
I didn't take the Bears. I took the Bears to get beat rather handily. I think my score was 28-16.
And I'm in improvement mode.
I know.
So you talk about Colts and Loveland.
Yeah.
The Bengals are giving up 74 yards a game to tight ends.
Yeah.
Right. Freiermuth had 100. Laporta had 90 plus. They're also the fourth most air yards that they're giving up right now. They're also the worst rushing defense in the league with the fourth highest yard per carry.
Yeah.
They're the fourth largest yards before contact of any defense. But you kind of temper that with a little bit that they had the fourth most interceptions in the league, but 6 of their 8 came against 3 players. Ironically, the one of them is their quarterback right now. But DJ Turner leads the league in passes defended. And you look on offense, they have the 4th fastest time to pressure in the NFL. 4th fastest. That's terrible.
Yeah.
But this is the same team. The prior 3 weeks, the New York Jets had gained a total of 678 yards of offense. Last week against Cincinnati, they put up 502.
Yeah.
So think of it. They did in one game to the worst offense in the NFL. They made Justin Fields look like a competent passer, and I'm still not comfortable in picking them.
I'm not. Again, that's why I keep on saying I'm in improvement mode. People were like, it sounds like Flacco's going to play. I mean, he was limited today, I believe. But even if he doesn't, the Bears aren't good enough to say, "Oh, Jake Browning's playing." What just happened to us? It's the Brock Osweiler effect. This is what's funny about being a Bears fan, and we've all lived it, is that this is gonna be you
Our
put up
year.
those stats. This is gonna be our game. We're gonna we can beat Cincy. They got Jake Browning. You know what Cincy's saying? This is our get right game. We're playing Chicago.
We got a chance to stay in this division
Yeah.
by winning this game right now because Pittsburgh does not
Yeah.
look good or
No.
dominant. And I sit down and say, and hold on, I wanna throw this because I wanna. Yeah, Bears are third best time to pressure in the NFL. So compared to everybody else, he does actually have
Mhm.
more time than most other quarterbacks. So that is whereas Cincinnati is 2.4, Bears are 2.66, I think it is, or 6.2 or something like that. So 0.2 of a second more is a lifetime in NFL time.
Oh yeah.
But I'm with you. If the Bears don't pressure, and I expect them to not allow pressure because Cincy's not very good, but Cincinnati has rediscovered a run game that still remains a weakness for us. And they still have, I have nightmares right now because it's Jamar Chase and T. Higgins against
Yeah.
who? Like
Yeah.
Nick McLeod and all of these other folks. I'm concerned about that. So yeah, I have Cincinnati winning 26-23.
Yeah. I think it was 28-16. Was my score. And it just listen, can the Bears win? 100%. Do I hope I'm epically wrong? Yes, but prove it. Show me.
No, this is a prove it year. I think
Yeah.
you said it perfectly. They need to prove they haven't yet earned the benefit of the doubt.
Nope.
And it will take this whole year to turn out a different way for that.
And that's the thing too.
And
You're talking.
this is my bad. Absolutely my bad.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You put up the stat about the tight ends. But what does that mean for the Bear throughout our history? What does that mean? That means that Colston Loveland comes out of the game with 2 catches for 13 yards. That's been the Bears' history.
And how's it been? The first play will go to him.
Yeah.
And the
then
very
gone.
last play will go to him. And nothing will happen in the middle.
And I'm not trying to, be negative towards Ben Johnson, but that's Cars, we've brought it up on this show multiple times. Look at all the years
about it.
Look at all the years that we played Green Bay, and 3 out of the 5 starters on the offensive line were down. This is back when we had Peppers. And you're like, the Bears can crank up that pass rush against the depleted offensive line in Green Bay, and they would never touch him.
Yep.
And it didn't matter who was out there.
And why? Because Green Bay drafted the trenches.
Right.
They will miss a lot, but they will draft. And the Bears have always, I will argue in a lot of ways, the Bears have had like better talented starter positions at certain key ones, but they've had 0 depth. If the second something goes wrong and an injury happens, this season is done. I think that's what, to me, best summed up the Lovey era is we were one injury away from failure, and we were one healthy player away from a Super Bowl. Felt like that every year.
Remember that year we lost Brian Urlacher? And I'm not Brian Urlacher, first ballot Hall of Famer, fantastic player. That year that we lost him and he missed 11 games? The season was over. You had talent on that team, but it was done because your middle linebacker was gone.
Isn't that insane when you think about it?
Yeah.
Like, it's, and oh God, was it 2009 when he played only 1 game?
Yeah.
I mean, and you look at that season and you're like, Jesus, where did it go wrong?
Yep.
How bad could that be?
And what did they do the next year?
7-9.
What did they do the next year? They went to the NFC title game.
Yep. Yeah, and in 2004, right, we lost him for what was like a handful of games. Uh, when we finished 5-11.
Yeah.
We always did this. You and I could
Up
talk at
and
all
down,
point,
up and down.
but if Tommy Harris, uh, or even more so, Mike Brown,
Yeah,
if one of those two are healthy, we have a Super Bowl win.
agree. And listen, Mike Brown was one of my favorite all-time Bears. And I mean, if you talk to Mike Brown to this day and bring up the Super Bowl, he gets emotional because it just rips him apart inside. Tommy Harris, not so much, because he's about as aloof and crazy as it is. And then, listen, I know Tommy's been through a lot in his personal life with, losing his wife and stuff like that. So I don't want to bag on him, but it's the Bears have never, ever, ever, I don't want to say never, in a long, long time, the Bears have not done it the right way. They just haven't. And they've continued it this year. And I think it was Eric, doubling down, saying he guarantees they're gonna attack the trenches. It's been set up that way before. You had a deep defensive end draft this year. You had a ton of offensive tackles that were available this past year, and the Bears are just like, you know what, we're good. And listen, they didn't even go BPA. Again, go back to the 1920 football drive on that draft, this past draft. This isn't me saying it. This is your general manager. Listen, we had a window of players, and we said, all right, if we don't take Ozzie here, the next offensive tackle that we have on our board is way farther down the list. So that's essentially if you translate that, it means, all right, we're going to reach for Ozzie here, because if we don't get one now, we're not going to get one. That's how you're drafting. When they tell you they're taking best player available, they're full of shit.
Shane, scale of 1 to 10. 1 meaning not shocked at all. 10 means blown out of the water by shocked. How shocked would you be if next year you are starting Darnell Wright at left tackle and Ozzie Trapillo at right tackle?
I wouldn't be shocked at all.
Be a 1, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's the lead, and
if this was the Jerry Angelo, Greg Gabriel leadership, that's exactly what would fucking happen.
They would have done it this season.
Yeah.
We'd already be running that.
Yep. And
that's I think that's the point. It should be the trenches, but I'm gonna look at this and say we might draft a bunch on the defensive line, but my expectation is gonna be that we should do it on the offensive line and that they will ignore it and just make that as the move.
Yeah, and I mean, I haven't even jumped into the, and it sucks. I don't want to right now, but he's got to get creative. Like I said, go shock me. Go sign Braden Swinson to your active roster and give him a fucking shot. Give him 3-4 weeks to get acclimated. Let him go out there and just say, you know what? You have one fucking job. Go get the quarterback. That's it. And if it doesn't work out, you release him. And then he'll go right back to New England and sign on their practice squad. That's fine. You have nothing to lose. Is it worth keeping Devin Duvernay? Is it worth keeping Travis Homer? Is it worth keeping Roshan Johnson? No, of course it's not. Sitting around waiting for things to get better internally because you feel like you have a good coaching staff. Listen, 90% of the people on our practice squad, like Cars just told you, to me, practice squad is, listen, you could have a couple vets mixed in there, with the way that the new rules are. I get it. Practice squad is to me is your developmental squad, where guys that show some upside, they just need a little bit more seasoning, where you're trying to bring them along. Cars, that fucking tight end at 29 years old, guess what? Is he going to be in the league next year? Maybe on our practice squad is the only. I don't even know who the fuck he is. We just signed Jonathan Garvin to our practice squad, a defensive end from Miami, the Hurricanes. He hasn't played a snap in the NFL in 3 years.
Don't worry, though. It'll get fixed next year when we're in the top 10 and we draft Caleb Downs, the safety out of Ohio State.
That's the one thing nobody's talking about, Cars. Every one of our safeties is a free agent. Kevin Byard's what, 32 years old now? I would extend Kevin Byard for a year, give him some new money because I think it sends the right message to the locker room. But beyond, are you extending Jaquan Brisker? If he gets an extension, it's a 1-year deal. Prove it. Nothing beyond that for Jaquan.
Oh,
You can't do it.
no, you can't. And Byard is coming back. They'll do that because of his leadership in the locker room.
Yeah,
And I think it's got to be on a 1 to 2 year deal. But
right.
it's depressing.
It is.
I think, the hard part is we've seen such glimmers. We've seen this offense move the ball. We've seen the defense force turnovers. We've seen them play united. All this stuff about Caleb and DJ not getting along. That looks so much better. DeAndre Swift, look, it's not like he's without flaws, but he's looked so much better these
Right.
last few weeks, and we've made these mass improvements. But the problem is, at the end of the day, our limitations as a team, including the limitations for this coaching staff, are the trenches.
Yeah.
What has made Detroit such a beast this year and last year is their offensive line is insane. What happened when their defensive line lost Aiden Hutchinson, right? They weren't the same. Look
Right.
at it now when it comes back. If you look across, you need 2+ level tackles. Minnesota has Darisaw and O'Neal. Detroit has Sewell and Decker. Green Bay has, God, what is it now? Zach Tom, and I can't remember the other name right now. And we have Darnell Wright, who I'm very high on, and Theo Benedict or Braxton Jones.
Yeah, and where was it? Ciro Morales. Just
No.
pump the fucking brakes on CJ Gardner-Johnson. He could also be gone in a fucking week. Also, you know what I mean? I was just looking it up. He's been on 1, 2. This is his 3rd team already this season. He played for 2 teams last year. No, I guess he was just with Philly in 2024. But I would just pump the brakes on any extension talk for CJ Gardner-Johnson. And the Bears sign him because they're fucking desperate. Like I said, if they loved him and looked at him as a contributor, they would have signed him a month ago. They would have.
And what's
When they
funny to
worked
me
him
is
out.
looking across and seeing like people question the coaching staff. This is largely the same team that we had last year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Largely the same team that we had last year. And they're winning games that they've lost in the past. I understand you want them to look better against tougher opponents, but you know what? In the past, we lose both the Raiders and the Commanders game.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Totally agree.
And
You're
so
right.
that's,
Listen,
if
and
that's your change, yeah.
Listen, I hate being so negative about the Bears. And at the end of the day, you know what? They're fucking winning. It's just you see these massive red flags that you just know are going to come to roost. You know
It's
what
like
I mean? And
it's the Dick Duran 13-3 year where you
yeah,
beat a bunch of shitty teams and you have this inexplicable run, and
right.
it's mostly because of luck and injury to other teams that you have it. And then what happens the next 2 years? You get punched in the face over and over again.
Right, and it's 2024, and there's not a Bears very Gary Franklin might be the only one that was thinking that the Flus could turn it around. And I'm just picking on my guy Carey there. But listen, Cars, if we were going to Vegas and they said, here's 10,000 in cash, you got to put it down. Does Flus work out in 2024 and beyond?
No.
Or is he gonna fail? 98% of Bears fans knew that. But the Bears management, Bears ownership didn't.
And the last thing I want to say is I'm going to look at this and look, you can say all you want, but this is the same Cowboys team that tied the Packers and has gone out and played incredibly good on offense ever since. And they played better on offense without CeeDee Lamb against other teams that they did against us. Like you have to beat the teams that are in front of you. That's what this is. I would absolutely agree. Like I want to see them compete. I want it, but they're in these games, and that is as little of a thing as it is. That Vikings game, we lose worse with a
Yeah.
different staff. We lose the Commanders. We lose the Raiders. Now you're sitting here talking about we go from a 4-3 team to a 2-5 or a 1-6 type of scenario. I get it, but we as fans, we have a different time clock than the coaching staff.
Oh yeah.
Our time clock has been running ever since Lovey. And so as more and more time builds in, we keep saying, I need us to win now. I want us to win now. And we've seen it like what happened in Matt Nagy's first year. We won now, and we won now with trickery. We're not winning with trickery right now. We're winning with plays. Some of it's luck, absolutely, but we're not winning by Santa's sleigh or 5 fat guys in a hot tub time machine or whatever else they called some of these weird plays in those instances. But we are, as much as we have to think about this, that we are in as
Somebody's
Bears.
gonna look that up and actually think that was an actual name though, Cars.
I'm more than happy with that. But we as fans are probably on year 15 of this rebuild. Ryan Poles is on year 4 of this rebuild. This is year 1 of this rebuild for Ben Johnson.
Yep.
And I think that's the clock that we have to play to. My view, and again, I'm sitting here trying to say, I don't ever want to tell people how to fan. I'm not a fan. Please be as angry as you want and be as frustrated. But to me, the way that I look at this is year 1 with this team. The biggest miss of last year is we didn't get a read on so many of these players and
Yeah.
what their floor is and what their ceiling is. And so now we're actually seeing players put in positions where they can do positive things. Like Luther Burden, like we don't normally see rookies go out and have 100-yard receiving games in their 3rd game ever as a pro. We usually don't see 100-yard games out of wideouts until year 3 or 4. And so you're seeing these things in these positive things that are happening. We just have 15 years of, let's be frank, bullshit fan history because our team has been so poorly run, so poorly owned, so poorly drafted, so poorly coached, so poorly talented. Now, I happen to believe that we have talent at the quarterback position, which by far is the most important.
Yep.
And I believe that we have the coach, which is tremendously important. I think from an offensive standpoint, we're going to be okay. But all of our eggs has to be in Ryan Poles' basket, and that's what makes me uncomfortable. But this is year 1 for me. And as much as it sucks to start over and to reset my expectations, folks, if you look at this season and you look at where we are at 4-3 now, versus where we were 4-3 a season ago, which one feels better?
Right.
And it's this year by a mile.
Oh yeah.
We could talk about beating the Panthers and the Jaguars in back-to-back games and blowing out really bad teams, but, like, people still think the Commanders are gonna be in the playoffs. We beat them. I don't care that we got a little bit of luck involved because somehow the luck for us was everybody's preferred number 1 quarterback, Jaden Daniels, is the one that fumbled the ball.
Yeah, and I mean, come on. How many times did you hear luck was involved with Washington taking off on their trajectory last year versus us with a Hail Mary?
Yes.
I mean, so it works, but yeah, guess what? Breaking news. There's luck involved with wins in the NFL. It happens. And
We beat the Cowboys, and they're the second best offense in the league, and we held them to 14 points. And
Yeah.
since then, they put up 40, 37, 27, 44, and 24.
yeah.
And we're going to sit down and say, well, it's because we faced the Matt Eberflus defense. I don't care. I don't.
Right.
I don't.
Well, we'll end it here. Isaac Man, $23, $10. Bears fans, quick judgment towards Caleb shows up like a soldier's PTSD. We finally return home. Our quarterback at every setback sends fans diving back into the foxhole, bracing for impact. And he's 100% right.
That's the best way to put it. We are all facing PTSD. I get it. Our last 4 serious relationships, the person has beat the shit out of us and put us into depression.
Yeah.
So I get it, but it's not the same.
Right. And listen, guys, we're right. If you watch draft, now that was one of our big concerns with Jaden.
So thin.
We talked about it, and I understand Drake May is playing fantastic right now. I get it. Listen, everything. Jaden was the belle of the ball last year. Now it's Drake May. We'll see where this ends up when the careers start to settle down and where this all goes. Because
By the way, sorry,
Yeah,
Drake May is getting sacked 11% of his dropbacks.
Cars,
Remember how we used to freak out about that number?
Wasn't it 32? He was sacked 32 times last year.
34 in 13 games, and he's at 28-8.
Nobody's talking about it, though. Nobody's talking about that.
Nobody's talking about Kurt Warner saying, I understand all the things that Drake May is doing, but I wish he'd do more of the little things that Caleb Williams is doing. People don't want to talk about that. And again, I get it. We've been burned. But Jesus, like...
Yeah, Robert's correct. It is. And listen, you play who's on your schedule, and it matters. But this is probably the perfect way to end it right here, Cars. Your guy, Corn Planner, $5, Cars and Shane, favorite Halloween candy.
For me, it's always the little mini Charleston chews, especially if you put them in the freezer.
Really?
Those in Milky Way in the
Yeah.
freezer, in those little bite size, absolutely perfect.
What else do you hide around the house?
Peanut butter M&Ms everywhere. My kids all know about it. They just don't. I put them on the shelf that they can't reach.
There's none under the desk?
No. No wife under here either, unfortunately. Yeah. How about you?
I'm a Reese's guy.
That's a good call.
Yeah. That would probably be there. Kit Kat, I guess. My daughter loves Kit Kats. But
it's solid. I grew up. My mom would always do the thing where we'd take Snickers and Milky Ways and freeze them.
Yeah.
And so that's always just kind of been the same thing for me. I think it's.
Yeah. So I'm actually.
What do you call my daughters? Excuse me, sir.
I am not going to be home for Halloween. So Emerson will be flying solo with her mom tomorrow night doing that while the boys are at the football game, enjoying a little college football.
Nice.
As
Very
Belichick and Mr. Lombardi come here. So should be a little bit different. Should be fun. We'll see how it goes. But tune into ESPN because the Marsaw boys will will be right up front, and we get to go on the field pregame, so
That's awesome.
that'll be fun for Riley. So
That's awesome.
yeah, gonna be fun. Look at this. See, Reese's and Kit Kat 1 and 2. Tell him, Lloyd.
Peanut butter and chocolate is always. That's why I love the peanut butter M&Ms. Like it's the best combo that you can find. But I just always find like I don't get
Nerds
Charleston
are
stuff.
solidly underrated, man. They're those fucking clusters, my daughter. Those nerd
Yes.
clusters. Those are amazing.
My kids love those, and then the Sour Patch Kids
Oh,
as
yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a
Three
win.
Musketeers, Eric's Butterfinger.
Oh, the peanut butter eggs is absolutely the play.
Damn, Rolos. I don't think I've had
Oh.
Rolo in 30 years.
Funny
Holy
story.
shit.
I used to love those, but my last dog Tucker jumped up and ate a whole bunch of them and got so incredibly sick. I haven't been able to eat them ever since I had a dog that threw them all up.
Well, we have one more in here. I texted Phil, and this is his.
I love balls.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. So I guess. Hey, teach his own.
different
Phil.
strokes for different folks. There's
Right.
no judgment. I'm just happy he's found what's made him happy.
Yeah, we're not gonna judge, but you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna
We'll
get
judge
the-
him more over
Yeah.
losing a
Yeah.
football game so badly than we
We're-
will about his. Show me.
Exactly. So we're gonna get out of here. Bears versus Bengals this weekend. We'll see how it all goes. Hopefully, it turns out a little bit more positive than Cars and I have been talking about, but we soon shall see. Hope everybody has a fun and safe Halloween night with you and yours, and you get all your favorite candy, and save us some Reese's and some Charleston Chews and send them our way. And we'll see you guys later. Happy
See ya, folks.
Halloween and bear down.